make more money along with it. It's just a lot of variables.
It goes back to the people who are in control want to stay in control, and they you don't get. It's like with cancer. You don't get rich by curing a disease. You get rich by treating a disease. You make money by treating it. So I do believe they have cures for cancer and other diseases. But if you just take a pill and boom, you're free of cancer, that doesn't make anybody money. Mm-hmm. And the people in charge, they're all about the money. Like what Monsanto.
For all you guys watching, the monetary system.
You beat me to it.
This is all a result of the monetary system. Watch episode 11 and 12 and 13, I think, and 14.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. It has to do with that money. Change that money, that profit system, and all kinds of beautiful things can come out.
But the people in charge, they don't want it to change.
Of course
they're making their billions and they're happy.
I guess someone must have rooms where they walk in and stacked with money.
remember, guys, that money is not worth anything. It's made out of thin air.
They're a lot.
Do your research.
The people in charge are a lot smarter and craftier, and they have more time on their hands to plan these things out. Like you say, it could be a multi-part plan where they make this GMOs, and they make the money from forcing people to buy the seeds over and over because it's not heirloom seeds. It's the GMOs. You have to buy the seeds every season, and then it's making people sick. So that helps the pharmaceutical and the hospital and the medical industry to treat these people, and keeps everybody worrying about that, and they're not thinking about spiritual things. They're not thinking about how to fight back fight back on the government and people in control.
Something just came out. We were talking about Monsanto and how they had patented their thing. It's something against it. It will keep aluminum that's in the soil now. It'll keep it out or something something to that effect. They have a patent on it. Mm-hmm. And they're just finding out about all this aluminum that's coming down. California, around Mount Shasta, is a company that they're a group of people. They're organizing to put a stop to this. So they say trees are dying around Mount Shasta.
Oh, you're talking about from all the chemtrails?
Yeah, the chemtrails, all the aluminum and all that stuff that's coming down.
I think barium and...
Yeah, they say strontium or something.
Strontium,
yeah. All these things we're breathing in. And I'd like to know, we have a thing called, what is it, EPA? Environmental Protection. Who are these people? I mean, they should be fired. They're supposed to be protecting the environment. And they're allowing this to come through. We're breathing in. And children now, there are children who coming down with diseases. And they don't understand what's happening.
You mentioned diseases. I mean, everyone knows about Ebola. Guy found out that the United States, with the disease control, they had created disease in 2010, and they had patented it. If you look it up online, you see the official patent for it, 2010, for the Ebola virus.
Well, just in the name, the Center for Disease Control, not disease eradication, control.
Oh, control.
Yeah. And they, some people say they're using Africa as like a testing.
They always use Africa.
Area.
Yeah. They always go into Africa to put out these diseases.
Mm-hmm.
Sick,
there's a lot of
rotten, wicked people.
Rich land out there, I guess.
It's a terrible system.
It is.
So, what else do you just want to, share with us?
Well, just when you talk about Ebola, that just reminds me of how, they want to, about the government, they want to limit how many people are on the earth and depopulate the earth. Some people say there's a coming situation, like a disease outbreak or a war or something that, would help control the population. That's another reason why they don't want to cure cancers or cure a lot of diseases, because you can't have, it's just, logically, if you think about it, you can't have a race of people who live like, hundreds of years. Like in the Bible you read about Methuselah and all these people, they live for hundreds and hundreds of years. There's like billions, I don't know the total number right now of people on the planet. It's
7 billion or
7 billion.
Something.
And there's got to be a way to feed all these people and keep them under control, and the more people there are, the less control you'll have. So you have to keep the population down, and if people don't want wars, because war is messy and ugly, if you just release a disease, that's a lot more cleaner and efficient than having a lot of wars that blow up things and create a lot of havoc and destruction.
And the chemical industry makes more money out of it too.
Right.
So they got to cure it, try to so-called.
And that's another reason why I think, like a lot of these movies with the aliens that come down, like on Independence Day, the aliens come down and they blow up the Earth
Fry
and they
our
want to destroy everything. They don't have to do that. It just release a virus, so just kill if they wanted to. They just release a virus that just kills everybody, and they just come down and take, whatever they want.
Yeah, they wanted us. If they wanted us dead or destroy us, they would have done it a long time ago.
Would be long dead.
Sure.
They wouldn't have let us get this big.
Yeah.
They have bigger fish to fry. But lowering the population, like you were mentioning, that's been probably a plan that the powers that be, the elite, the ones who are controlled, that's what they've always wanted. Like you said, the less people they have to worry about, the easier it is for them to manage and control. But with so many people on the planet, I think we would have more than enough land to crop, to grow, food, and for everybody to eat.
Sure,
if it was done efficiently and everybody was in cooperation with each other, then yes, it would work out.
Every place they wanted is dig up and put buildings and buildings and buildings and.
That's all. Like I used to work with the playgrounds with kids, and I see all these graveyards, huge amounts of land that could be used for the kids, playgrounds and things like. And they got all these tombstones with these decaying bodies underneath. Like I say, can be used for worthwhile, but they make money out of that.
Oh yeah, that's
certain companies make money out of all
funeral,
that. Tombstones,
that's a big money-making thing right there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big country we live in, and there's a lot. I mean, I've traveled, driven across the country. There's a lot of open land, a lot of open space that's not being, that you could use that, for farming or whatever you want. You don't have to have everything centrally located.
Yeah, and they say that usually they say when food is grown near where you live, it's more healthier because. If there's a certain amount of radiation, more so in one area than it is in another, and you live in that area, the food that grows develops certain things within it that when you eat it, is able to fight, your body's able to fight it off.
Okay.
But coming from another country where the radiation is low, the vegetables, whatever it is, may not be strong enough for the person when it's shipped to them.
Right.
So.
Well, another thing, just have a ray of hope here for anybody who's watching, for people who are watching this. That there are the gray alien. I mean, there's many different races, from what I've heard, that are visiting our planet or have been here for a while. I mean, the gray is one of them. The reptilians. Some of the more, more sinister ones.
Nordics.
But the ones that actually will help us are the Pleiadians, the Arcturans. They want to see us develop spiritually and advance, and they're kind of like locked in like kind of a battle almost with those aliens to inspire people, and they have a different way of going about it. Like the Pleiadians, instead of coming down and like telling the government, hey, this is the way you should do it, they come to individuals and say, hey, this is what you need to do to advance civilization, to make this place a more paradise place than a hostile place with people putting chemicals everywhere and chemtrails and wars and plagues and violent stuff. That there's a better way to live your life, to have a civilization, and it's up to individuals to start that movement of living from a more spiritual, not necessarily religious, but from a spiritual
right.
standpoint. You have to care about your fellow man, care about, the things you put in your own body, and not preaching from a point of view, but just help introduce it to somebody and say, hey, this is a possibility of doing it this way. And if it clicks with that person, it clicks with that person, and they carry it on to the next person, and not, necessarily getting up and forcing it down somebody's throat, the Greys, like the Greys and the Reptilians would want to have.
I mean, it's a good idea for that. I mean, that's probably what they do, but I think they need to do something on a little wider scale.
Yeah.
Like come in the skies.
Well, they're doing that.
Like come like in masses where they come, and everybody's coming out their house and looking up and seeing them, do their thing, but they don't do anything harmful. They just take off, but just so that the people know that yes, we're here. You've been lied to.
Well, that's happened to a degree in
it'll increase
in the 50s. UFOs had buzzed the White House.
Yeah.
They sent the airplanes
But
out.
I mean, something on a
I was on a
wide.
ship then, and going to Korea.
Well, I mean, something wide, much more wide scale. Say like a big, not that mothership, but in the daytime, they just come over Manhattan, and all the little ones are going, by them, and they're doing all kind of, they're putting on a little display for us to let them know, yes, we're intelligent. We have intelligent, movement. And then they just leave.
Well, here's another thing. I think it was about a week and a half ago. I was listening to the news, and there was something seen in New York. I don't know how many people, but people don't look up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the problem too. People, like when I saw my sighting, I was like, how come there's not like people like looking and saying, what the heck is this thing up in the sky?
I can be standing out in my yard, and I hear, because I'm, LaGuardia and Kennedy.
Yeah.
And if I hear a plane, I'm looking up. I look at people when the plane goes over. They don't look up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the one I saw in New York. I mean, in Brooklyn, people have been out there. It's so quiet. It doesn't make any noise. They would go over their heads, and they wouldn't even know it went over their heads.
Mm-hmm.
That have somebody who look and say, "Hey, everybody, look," for them to look up.
Well, I think a problem with what you were saying about having, a spaceship make an appearance over the Earth, I think that would create panic, because a lot of people are not informed. A lot of people are not, enlightened or, have any interest. Basically, people, they just don't care. They're busy with their day-to-day life. They go to work, they pay their taxes, they got the family to worry about, their health, and that's all. And watch TV, and that's their little box. If all of a sudden an alien spaceship showed up, there'd be mass panic in the street. The stock market would crash. They would demand, they would demand the government do something about it.
Yeah.
It would create questions about religion, about, well, that's another thing. The Pope, the Catholic Church came out and they said a few years back that if it is ever discovered that there is life, intelligent life on other planets, it wouldn't be out of the question, and it would be only further expand the realm of creation, and it would be part of God's plan that all these things exist. And to people who are still hesitant about believing in the existence of aliens in other galaxies and throughout the universe, I mean, it's a big universe out there. If you go and look at what the Hubble telescope is finding, they're finding planets all the time. There's billions of stars in our galaxy alone, and there's billions of galaxies out there. I mean, just one tiny dime-sized picture of the universe that the Hubble shot, there's like, 10,000 galaxies just in one dime-sized shot of the 360 view. So, and if each of those galaxies has billions of planets, I mean, the numbers are just phenomenal.
I'd like them, the extraterrestrials, to tell me, what is out there rather than our scientists. Because they probably know things and have withheld it, saying, there's no life on these planets. They could be more than planets that they don't tell us about.
I think they will in time. I always say they know, since they're so far advanced, they know best how to acclimate us. Is that the word?
Yes.
To their presence. Like you were saying, people, not many people around actually have studied or know about these intelligences that are being observed by a few. And if they saw something happen too soon, like you say, they might panic. Because there are those who tell them that's the devil. They don't want people to know anything. But yet they wouldn't think this is coming from the heavens, that it can't be the devil. But if they're told by the church leaders and saying that's the devil, they're going to believe it.
Like they said in the Men in Black movie, he said, why don't you just tell people there's aliens out there? People are smart. Like, a person is smart. People are dumb, panicky animals. So I think that's a problem with having a mass, them coming down in mass and saying, hey, we're here.
It's growing in numbers. It's growing in numbers. People are becoming more aware.
I wanted to ask you, Andrew, since you've talked about certain conspiracy theories, what is your take on the wars in the last, say, decade or so and 9/11? What's your take on that?
It's just to create more. Well, wars help fund certain things too. The Halliburton, one of the major weapons manufacturers, they make money off of wars. There's people can make money off of that, and it's just another way of keeping us off, keep our focus off of the things that are really important. Like with this whole ISIS thing that's going on now, like all of a sudden, we went into Iraq, they took out Saddam Hussein because he was a bad person, and they destroyed the Twin Towers, and we went in there and fought them. We got rid of Saddam Hussein, and now the country's Iraq is in even a worse state now with all these renegade people.
Yep.
I mean, say what you will about Saddam Hussein, but he kept all these warring tribal factions that were in there. He kept them under control. As horrible as it was, but these people. I mean, I don't know. What they're. What's in the water they're drinking or whatever their problem is. Maybe it's too much heat and they just want to constantly fight and kill people, and anybody who doesn't believe in the same thing that they do. But it's just ironic that President Obama decided to pull out all the troops from Iraq, and then the minute he does that, all of a sudden this ISIS group pops up, even worse than anything before. Like they're beheading people left and right, and we got to go back in there and fight them again. It's like they want. Whether ISIS was a plant by the government or the powers that be to keep us in there and keep have a reason, an excuse to keep us in there and fighting, or an appeasement for the people who say, we got to get out of Iraq, we got to get out of Afghanistan, we got to mind our own business. But then they introduce, now these people are fighting, they're killing more people, we got to go in there and stop it. So that keeps the war machine going.
Sure.
You mentioned a good point the other day that they talk about all these reporters getting killed over there, and you mentioned, what about the 3,000 people?
Oh yeah, they talk about the people being behind. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong.
If it is true,
it's true, it's wrong. But the thing is, they don't talk about they say 3,000 people killed in 3 buildings. Some people only know of 2. They don't know of the other one that came down that wasn't even hit by a plane. And all these architects say those buildings did not come down by fire or a plane hitting it. It came down through demolition. And if it came down through demolition, it had to be planned months and months ahead of time. So that means somebody in our country, somebody did this to get us to go to war, get us angry. Because how many people think? Oh, you see something like that and you say that they did it and you say, oh, let's go get them. That's what we think.
I never forget they showed when 9/11 happened. They showed a video clip of kids dancing on the street. I don't know if you guys.
Yeah, you told me, right?
They were celebrating,
and
they were like burning the American flag, and they were
geez.
celebrating. And when I saw that, not thinking with the way I think today, that I believed what I was seeing. That the kids in Iraq and the people in Iraq were celebrating for what happened 9/11. And I was mad. I was like, we should go there and we should, bomb them. And I felt that way. Only to come to find out, years later, that clip was 5 years old at the time that they showed that clip. And it wasn't even in Iraq. I think it was in Bosnia or somewhere.
Sure.
Right.
Why would they show that clip?
Well, when we first went into Iraq and we took out, Saddam Hussein, and I remember watching on the news, they had clips of Iraqi people saying, of course they were speaking, in their language, and they had subtitles underneath and saying, "Oh, George Bush is our liberator, and yay for thank goodness for America, and George Bush is the greatest thing ever," and that's got to be a plant of some kind, people wouldn't say and do things like that. And the towers coming down, it is strange how they came straight down. Like
down. Oh my goodness!
After an hour, right? Was the first plane hit it, and then an hour later or something like that.
Yeah. And then one came, like you said, down. It wasn't even hit. How did that come down?
Yeah. And the guy who owned it, he said, "Pull it."
Pull it. Yep. Silverstein.
He said he told the fire department to pull it. Fire department can't do a demolition.
Silverstein said that. Okay. Those were his buildings. I think he owned those buildings, I believe.
Right.
And he took out the insurance policy a few months ago on 3 buildings against terrorist attacks by planes. How is there a coincidence? I mean, that this plane just happen all the time and come into buildings?
As far as it being a demolition, it had to be, like you say, it had to be planned well in advance. I mean, people. I mean, the maintenance crews, they could have been there for years. People don't know what's going on. People work in the buildings. They just see a maintenance guy going around. They don't know what they're doing.
They don't question it.
They go in there planting, explosives, or even they have paint. It looks like paint, and you just roll it on, and it's an explosive. And it could, just you hit the button and just triggers it all.
You know quite a bit about that. You've been blown up in buildings.
No,
I'm joking.
Those files are sealed.
Yeah. It's just something though. Is there anything else you want to get off your chest? Talk about?
I think we covered everything pretty much. Just I'd like to let people know they should be aware of what's going on,
Yes.
keep informed, watch our program, watch your program, watch anything you get your hands on about conspiracy theories. I mean, you don't have to believe in everything you hear. You shouldn't believe everything you hear. Go do your own research. Find, look up things yourself, things in the Bible, things in, history books. Do your own research. The truth is there if you know where to look. And the more you look and then you question people about it, if you go and research it and you find out, the history is one way, and then you look in the accepted view of how things are and it's different, people just brush you off. Like, oh, well, that's impossible. It was done this way, and that's just, you got to do your own research and make up your own decision.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, Andrew, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show.
I appreciate you letting me on here and let me express my views.
And we'd love to have you back.
Being on here with you and Bernard.
Yeah, we'd definitely love to have you back, guys, viewers. If you have leave comments for us, subscribe. We'd love to hear what you have to say, and keep watching. Give us the support. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.